OpenAI and New York Times have been in a legal battle for a very long time. Originally, the New York Times argument was that OpenAI had no right to use their articles to train their model. They should have paid them because the articles from the New York Times belong to the New York Times. They were written by their journalists, and it's their property. The problem is, this is still a very heated debate. Should the AI company pay content provider to train their model? It would make a lot of sense, but the problem is there's a precedent that nobody is paying the search engine. Nobody is expect Google to pay a content provider. Why? Because on one side, Google will come and index your site, but on the other side, Google will send you traffic. If you have a blog, or in that case, a journal, the New York Times, Google will come, get all your data for free, index, and say, okay, I know there's a great article about this topic on this website, and then you will get traffic in exchange. So with search engine, that was a fair game. That was what mainly Google has created and other search engine. But now with AI, the problem is different. If an AI comes and indexes the New York Times article, then let's say GPT will give the answer, will not send any traffic. So there is no exchange of value between the AI provider and the content owner. And this is why the New York Times was so angry about it. And the parallel, we'll see that the parallel with Google is quite interesting. So now the legal battle has taken another turn. They're saying, actually, not only you stole our data to create your model, but also you've harmed us, and there is a damage that we can prove because some users have used GPT to read articles from the New York Times without paying us. So let's have a look at the concept of paywall. So if you go to the New York Times website, here you have some articles, and let's say I'm interested in this article, happens to be about OpenAI. I don't know why the New York Times is saying so many bad things about OpenAI. When I click on it, I have enough information to want to read it, but I need to subscribe. So they're asking me to create a free account, and maybe they'll give me access to one or two articles, but I cannot access it directly. I'm kind of blocked here. This is what we call a paywall. You see that, you want it, and then you don't have access to it. So what the New York Times is claiming is that OpenAI has created a new browser, Atlas, and if I use Atlas, I can read the article without subscribing, without paying. So that's now part of the legal dispute, and now it's a very different discussion. It's not you taken data from me, now you have taken money away from me. So a user who came to our website with a normal browser cannot read the article, and now you are kind of breaking into the store, taking my goods and giving them for free without paying to my potential customer. So it's a very different argument. It's not about that very difficult way of defining what is fair game for AI to train. Now it's pure damage, it's pure monetary damage. But in order to prove that, New York Times needs some data. They need data to show that a browser came in, a user came in, and then they could read an article. So they are asking, as part of this lawsuit, they are asking OpenAI to give records of user transaction. So they are asking OpenAI to hand over 20 million private GPT conversation. And the point is, if in this conversation they see that the user was able to read an article and they can prove this user didn't pay, there is theft. There is theft of content. There is a clear commercial transaction that should have happened, and there is clear damage, and then they can quantify the damage. Problem is, if you're a GPT user, you don't want your private conversation to be part of the discovery of lawsuits, because then your private configuration is not private anymore. So OpenAI is saying, no, we cannot give you private conversation. And then the New York Times says, but this is the only way we can prove that you've actually created damage. So now they're kind of locked in between privacy issue on one side, between commercial damage on the other side. We don't know what's going to be the next step, but this is quite interesting. This is, of course, a big legal battle that is shaping both the future of data protection, user protection, and this is one of the ways that we are going to define the way AI companies are going to work in the future. Subscribe to this channel if you want more news, more analysis on the latest news on AI, on the big battle between content provider and AI companies, which is very, very important because it shapes the future of our society and economy.